Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about the U2 S Dragon Lady face process. This is where we do our periodic inspections. The first thing that I do is I ensure that the U2 is clean, both inside and out. The U2 gets washed from head to toe, and we ensure that all the grease is removed, so that way you have an easy to look at clean airplane. After we get done with that, my personal pre-look is what I do next, and I basically walk around the airplane and I'll try to find out as many discrepancies as I can find prior to the aircraft actually going into the phase dock. This is my most favorite part of the job, because I get to see all the damage firsthand before anybody else does, and it gives me a chance to check up on my guys to make sure that they are finding the defects that are in the plane. One of the first steps that we do with the U2 is we'll defuel it and delox it prior to bringing it in the hangar. And after we get done doing that, we'll go ahead and tow it inside, and we'll do what's called a CPT, which is a cabin pressure test. And this is where we verify that the cockpit doesn't leak. And since the aircraft does go to such high altitude, it's pretty important that we fix all the leaks in the plane, so that way he has proper cabin pressure during the entire flight. While different shops are accomplishing that, we'll go ahead and start depaneling the aircraft, which consists of depaneling the wings, the tail, the engine bay. And after the CPT is done, we go ahead and depanel the nose area and remove all the removable panels on the aircraft. After we get done doing that, we'll remove the aft section, which is pretty much the back third of the aircraft. If you were to break it into thirds, it would be the back third. And after that, they remove the engine, and then we can start doing our TCIs, which are our time change items, and our TCTOs, which are our time change technical orders. And basically what those are components, or not components, but they are mods that we use to help improve the airframe, just changes in different components in the plane, whatever it might be. After we get done doing that, we'll begin our looks. The looks are broken down between 3 different zones with 9 different work areas. Zone 1 has 4 work areas, 1 through 4. Zone 2 has work areas 5, 8, and 9. And Zone 3 has work areas 6 and 7. 1, 2, 3, and 4 would consist of your nose area up to the wheel well. After that, Zone 2 would take over 5, 8, and 9, which would be the midsection and the wings. And then the aft section, which is 6 and 7, is basically the inside of your aft section and the outside of your aft section. And it's really one of the easiest parts, 6 and 7. You're going to be looking for anything from chafe lines to loose fire detectors, loose safety wire, different things that are improperly installed, lines improperly positioned, wrong clamps, bad hardware, lines installed backwards. I know there's a lot of things that are put on the aircraft wrong, and they still manage to make it through 200 hours of flight. Once we finish our looks, we'll go ahead and call QA out, quality assurance, and they'll come out and do an overall check over the aircraft to make sure that we did do a good thorough look on the aircraft, and they'll pass us with that. Once we pass that, we'll do what's called a Dash 6 inspection, and that's basically a thorough inspection of the engine bay and the aft section. And the Dash 6 inspection entails everything that's inside of it, every little component. If I had a picture, I'd show you, but it's something you really have to see for yourself. There's miles and miles of wiring, and more components than you can remember. But whatever the inspector finds in there has to be fixed on the spot, or it has to be documented, so that way we can ensure that it does get taken care of prior to the engine going back in. Once all the fixes are done, and the Dash 6 is done, QA is called out to do a Dash 6 KTL, and it's a key task, so they'll take care of the what they're going to do is just verify that I did, or the inspector did, the appropriate job, and just again verify that everything's airworthy. Just another set of eyes to go back over it. After that, we'll begin to put things back together, install the engine, put the aft section back on, and amazingly enough, the aft section is only held on with 4 bolts, and they're only about 3 inches long, ½ inch diameter. It's pretty scary to think that an aircraft flies around being held together like that. After that, we prep the aircraft for an engine run and tow it on outside and tie it down. It depends. Sometimes we do an 80% power engine run, sometimes 100, and it doesn't really matter for me. It's all easy. Once the engine run's good, we'll untie it, tow it inside, and go ahead and decart it. But if for some reason the engine run were to be bad, we'd have to pull the motor, and once you pull that motor back out, everything has to be reaccomplished. As far as your Dash 6 inspections of the Dash 6 KTL, even though it might have been good 3 hours prior to that, you're going to have to do it all over again. The whole process will have to be redone. Normally they give you a little leeway on that, and the inspectors will come out and look at it again, but you're still going to have to do the work over. At least verify that nothing has been damaged and nothing changed. Now, once it's all good, of course, we decart, and after the decart, we'll begin our pre-flight, which we'll do all of our pre-flight checks to make sure that the aircraft is airworthy, and then QA will come out, and again, they'll come out and verify that we did do a proper pre-flight and make sure that we didn't miss nothing. And it's very repetitive, but it's just a safety measure in place for an aircraft of this magnitude. After we get done doing that, usually we'll post dock it and then tow the aircraft outside to its assigned spot, and then we usually start the next one that same day, or possibly, if we're lucky, a day or two after that one to give us a break, catch our breath. It's very repetitive, but they all have their different and own individual issues. It's a very fun and rewarding job, and that's it for this informative speech.